What's going on, guys? It's your favorite mortgage lender, Abdel Kouami, Gaunt Mortgages. We are here with my good friend, Jorge Moran. George, what's up, my friend? So George, of course, in order to make things always special, decided to come in and make sure that we're here in person. So you're the man. And of course, I had to drop everything that we were doing to make sure. And it's funny, we've gone through 3 different cameras in order to make sure we get this right, and I think we got it down packed now.
I think it was set up though. Every time we have a challenge, you come out with a solution.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, listen, it's what I was just sharing right while we were doing this. That's been like every single real estate deal right now.
That's the market this time.
It's pretty crazy because we're starting to see so many different deals that, when you think it's 100% smooth, and then out of nowhere, right? Home inspection issue comes up, appraisal issue. Dude, I have one right now. They're supposed to close on the 14th. Actually, I think he used for home inspection, whatever. He ended up, we're resubmitting for a clear to close. My underwriter probably will clear to close it today. We're going for the CO inspection, and the seller basically put a office within the garage. Right, so it's like a two-car garage, and he essentially cut out the majority of the garage and put an office.
Okay.
So when he ended up doing that, obviously, what happened to the whole zoning and everything? It's off.
Yeah, it's completely. Yeah, that's fine.
And now the township, it's in West Orange. They won't issue the CO. And what is he also doing? He's selling his property. So now it's a matter of you break it out, get the CO with the anticipation that we can still try to close.
I don't get me.
It's crazy because that's been the true real estate market. I mean, thank God we're blessed, we're busy, but holy moly, is every single deal truly requiring every ounce of knowledge that we're seeing. So that was that, but. You want to kind of start out introducing yourself and really what kind of got you into the home inspection world?
Sure. Jorge Moran, HomeTeam Inspection Service, HomeTeam Inspection Service of Monmouth County, I should say. I decided to open the company after spending many years in corporate, being behind the desk, making decisions. That wasn't me anymore. I have to get my hands in. I have to get involved. Since I already got the knowledge from my father owning a construction company, working as a part-timer for a little bit, I kind of knew this was my thing, and I enjoy doing it. I mean, I enjoy taking the client to a tour of the house, showing things around, showing their faces when they understand that something is going on, and, in the process, saving them money, because now you know how to maintain equipment, how to properly change your, pools, whatever it is that comes up, you get an idea of what to do.
Sure.
Yeah. How was it?
That's awesome. And so your father came into construction, because I didn't even know this. Yeah. So your father came from the construction world, which obviously really goes hand in hand with home inspection because you got so handy.
Yes.
Kudos to you guys, because if it wasn't for Marco or Tom Jarrah or anything like that, my house would be a shithole. Or Dan with taking care of the pest control.
These guys are awesome. Yeah.
I'm terrible at that stuff. It's a good thing and a bad thing. I just stay so busy with work, and then I trust them with everything. Now, you've obviously worked with some of our individual clients too, and the common norm that I always see is just your responsiveness, right? And communication. That's a true testament, because what are you kind of seeing that has allowed you to be a successful business owner, right? Molding it at the same time while being in the field. Right?
Oh, yes,
it's a tough balance.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we take the approach that the client is the most important person as soon as we take on the call.
Yeah.
We're asking questions. How old is the house? What are you expecting to see out of this house? What's your knowledge behind it? Was it in an area that's woods? Do you need any sewer scoop? Was it old enough that we'll need a tank sweep? So we try to ask all these questions to make the client knowledgeable, right? You want to know the condition of your home. And as we get to the house, I'm pointing out things. This will look good with a power wash, but listen, don't use the hard jet. Use the soap cleaning. kind of the tricks that I learned as I went along, and of course, the condition of the home itself, right?
Sure.
And the way we disclose our information is not alarmist. Last thing you want is for this guy, the home inspector, to come in and trash
Kill
your
the
house.
deal.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that. We want to let him know the condition of the home. He has to know. But of course, you do it in such a way that the client at the end understands that it might not be your responsibility to fix it, right? It might not, even though it's in a little less than a good condition, it could be fixed.
Sure.
Something can be done for it. It's just who's going to pay for it. So, and that's the approach we take, By the end, we're done. The reports are done even the same day or the next morning. We make sure we bring everybody with us. So we need a tank sweep. If I don't do it, I'll bring somebody with me. So we're not killing anybody's time. You don't want to go back to the house a few times just to get an inspection.
I love that. And so you bring up to my next point, because obviously you're not just doing your typical home inspection, checking the condition. You're also doing radon tests. Because I remember you just said you're picking it up.
Correct. Whatever is needed.
Yeah.
Whatever is needed. Yeah.
Termite.
Every effort to bring them in. Yeah.
Termite is a big one.
Yeah. Termite is definitely alone. If you do a home inspection, you have to do a termite inspection for sure. Yeah. They said it's 2 types of homes in New Jersey, right? Those with termite and those that don't know they have it. So yeah.
It's true. I mean, listen, I have, like I had mentioned, Dan the Bugman, who was just on our last episode, and he's always pointing stuff out. And thank God it's nothing. I'm going to say it's nothing, but he's always doing like the safe precaution stuff.
It's important.
Before it's like, hey, you have your, especially in the summer, he's like, hey, you have this bucket turned over, right? So water can go in. Yeah. He's like, so turn it or else you're going to get flies.
Exactly. Yeah. And I see his videos, he's good at TikToker, I should say.
Yeah.
I watch all the episodes. He's good. He takes you to the process, makes you participate,
Yeah. And you also do a good job also with putting your content out there as well, which is great. What kind of made you want to start also dabbling within social media too? Because you definitely put out the content in there while you're in the field. How did you kind of gauge into that side of the world as well?
Well, I started by joining groups like BNI and Chamber of Commerce. And as I was going through that, I noticed that everybody was busy doing it. So I wanted to get a taste of that. And once I started doing it, it was fun. So
I agree.
Why not? I mean, I make a lot of fun of myself, on my head and everything, so it's not shiny today, is it? Okay, good.
It's pretty shiny. I think it's lights too, but that's awesome. Now, obviously, networking is how you and I met, right? And it's funny, we met a few times, until eventually, we clicked. Yeah. And I had said, hey, stop by my office. We have, the meeting of the mind roundtable. Yeah. And then you came, and it's funny. I was I think it's actually home. I think the same situation too. I thought it was gonna be on Zoom. Oh. And then you're like, I'm outside. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And it's funny because you
had that experience already.
You took it so professionally too, which I think speaks kudos to you, because we all know in our business it is 24/7 nonsense. At least that's how I am. It's 24/7. The market share is obviously tighter and tougher, but it just comes down to your accessibility. I mean, you're doing home inspections, obviously, all days of the hours, sometimes as early as like 8 a.m., right? I'm sure you've probably done some even earlier.
If we have light outside, I've done it at 7 p.m. I don't mind.
No, it's true, because it's such a vital point too, because home inspection is obviously something that you just check off, right? But for so many years, but I feel like recently too, within the last 2-3 years, at least in hyperlocal New Jersey, right, home inspection has become such an integral part of the process. Where we like to move super fast. Yes. So I'll get you a mortgage commitment even if you didn't do your home inspection yet. Yes. In an effort to anticipate that something may come up on the home inspection, we'll have an added foot to stand on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But you've done some home inspections where, like, right when you walked in, you're like, yeah, this this is going to be.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Once you get the knowledge behind it, I mean, if you have a background, then it's different. It's easier, and if you surround yourself with the right professionals, every one of them could, be an extension of you. So as you walk into a property, you already analyze it. As you look at it outside, you already analyze it. I'll tell you a quick experience. I got off my car. I meet the client as she's coming in. She's looking at me this way. I'm looking forward. I'm not even looking at her. And I already see the building. It's a little bit leaning to the back. And I said, have you noticed that? And she goes, what do you mean? And she couldn't see it, right? But then walking inside, I was already, I already know where I'm going to go. So as I'm walking on the front door and she's walking at the other end of the last corner in the kitchen floor, she's at least 3 inches to 4 inches above ground from where I'm standing.
Holy shit.
So, I kind of get the knowledge behind it, right? Once I got into the close space, sure enough, the main beam was already sideways. Yeah, it's almost sitting on its side instead of sitting straight forward like it's supposed to be. So, you do get the knowledge behind it. And then we also have this experience where,
open house.
Oh my God, yes. And we went to this house and then it was termite was actually outside the door, right? Come inside, we got you. That was all termite,
And it's so funny for that specific deal. One, it was a family member, so thank you for pointing that out immediately. But we had a feeling from the beginning, that because with that one, we're like, don't get out of attorney review yet. Let's do the home inspection first.
Very smart.
Because I knew it was like sitting and it was a beautiful home.
Yeah.
At least the layout was like perfect, but then come to find out,
there was no issues.
you knew that there was issues. So thank God we were able
to from the side too. Besides the termite. Yeah.
I mean, even the other home that he did close on.
Yeah.
Right. Even that. I mean, there weren't problems.
Yeah.
But there was still your typical, right.
Yeah.
And listen, it's the way I tell people too, and I'm sure you probably use this analogy is, listen, it's like taking a used car to a mechanic.
Yes, I use that for mechanicals. Yeah,
it's not going to always be 120%, brand new.
Yeah,
you're going to have nicks and knacks as long as there's no safety hazards. Right.
Yeah, indeed. And also, it's funny. Many people have this misconception that it's a new home. It doesn't need a home inspection. Oh my God, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Because I go to new homes. One, they forgot to hook the gas line going into the furnace. So as you turn the heat on, what's going on? Nothing is happening. I trace it all the way back in the attic. Of course, they put a cap on the line, and there was about a good 7 feet, I'd say, of pipe that hasn't been installed yet, and then they was on the house. And another time, I mean, as I pressed the the garage door, it went up, no problem. When I pressed it to go down,
drop.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. I'm glad nobody was there.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt.
Holy Jesus.
So those are the kind of things that we encounter, we find.
Yeah. It's the stuff that I always say, a home inspection, I always have to explain the difference to our clients between a home inspection and an appraisal.
Yes.
A home inspection is truly to check the condition of the property with a microscope.
And if it's done correctly, it's a Bible to you.
100%. And then for us, right, and it's so tough. Every deal is unique. Sometimes we try to wait for the home inspection first and then do the appraisal.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on a lot of the times we're called in, especially on our end, I'm always, I call them the Dennis Rodman files, where I'm called in after the fact to rebound and help. But, then we try to do the appraisal. Like I have 2 right now. We picked up the appraisal report from the prior lenders. They both had flags on the appraisal report, but the lenders never brought it up. So, of course, I'm in a position where I'm taking it over. We finally get the appraisal report transfer. We look at the report, and it's a flag. So then everybody's like, hey, can we close? And I'm like, well, shit, technically on my end, I can close this quickly, but you guys have a problem with the appraisal. And, of course, they're like, why did we know? Don't ask me. But I always tell people, too, because you mentioned safety hazards, right?
Yes.
I'm starting to see sometimes here and there appraisers flag stuff, right? So one of the most tedious parts that I hate is missing handrail.
Yeah.
Or obviously your typical chip paint makes sense, but the handrail is always like, oh, son of a gun. And it's like, I guess it depends on certain steps and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see that. I literally just had one right now. For actually, you did the appraisal in Union,
Okay.
and Winfield. You
Yeah.
just did one for the brother.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing I
Yeah.
hate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
you did it for them.
Yeah.
So first of all, they had a lot of chip paint.
Yeah.
Chip paint was everywhere.
Yeah.
So that of course the appraiser flag. But then going down to the basement, if you remember, going down to the basement, regardless, and it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because that is, we talked about inspection tips and stuff, right?
Yeah.
If it's to an appraiser's discretion,
Yeah.
right? But if the house has chip paint and it's like obvious,
Yeah.
the appraiser's going to flag it,
Yeah.
FHA or conventional.
Yeah.
Because chip paint is obviously a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Right. And listen, if it's before 1978, right, the
Lead
lead and all that,
paint, yeah.
I get it. But chip paint is a safety hazard. And I'll be honest with you, I had one deal where the appraiser did it as is, but the underwriter, because the underwriter has a final say to clear the appraisal, the underwriter said, hey, this has chip paint and needs to be fixed.
All the way to the underwriter. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a part that many people don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's just so important for a home inspector and a mortgage professional to also be correlating, obviously, with the real estate agent.
Yeah.
But I find that to be so powerful because a lot of the times a client will tell me, I would have loved to send you, but she's buying a house in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And she's a police officer, Department of Correction. I got the call Friday.
Okay.
Yesterday was Monday. The loan was approved. Appraisals today. Everything is done.
Wow.
She needs to close by the 15th.
That's fast. Yeah.
So of course she was going through, typical PBA loan process and stuff like that. Very tedious, very stressful. Yeah. I told her straight up. Of course, right when her offer got accepted, the loan officer was nowhere near to be found.
Yeah.
Go figure, right? So I told her, I'm like, well, you don't qualify for this loan regardless. Your DTI is too high, and you don't have 15% down. That's the parameters for PBA.
Yeah.
So we switched it to our end. Now she wants to close by the 15th. Okay. So we have about like 12 days left.
Okay.
I can make it happen regardless. The appraisal is done. She just did the inspection yesterday.
Okay.
So the reason why I share this is because it's now the realtor knew immediately we were stepping in and kind of taking over. We're like, hey, you do this. Hey, title. Oh, her title needs 3 weeks. You're not using that title company. You're going to use my title company because we move quickly.
We need to get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that I'm seeing right now. There's such a huge separation between the professionals who are doing very, very well and the professionals who are just doing terrible. There's no middle.
Yes.
Right? Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's why I always say, the best client is a very well-informed, first-time home buyer, or a seasoned realtor that's been there for a while and they know how to handle. A lot of realtors, what they're doing these days is what we call a pre-inspection.
Yeah.
So why deal with all those issues when you allow the buyer, home inspector, come in and describe all this for you? When you can get it done ahead of time and save a lot of people time and money. I mean, when we disclose things, we have to be broad. We have to let you know what's going on. Instead of when we come in as a pre-inspection, hey, it's time to fix things, And many things will be very small little details that to the untrained ear or eye will sound like a lot of stuff, A moldy ceiling tile.
Yeah.
Come on. We can,
and it's obvious too, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's where I get so frustrated when we see the appraisal report.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, dude, like, I've seen some stuff, man, where like there's surrounding the boiler, like there's like broken tile, and I mean like broken tile, like somebody literally took it and broke it like a plate, and you're like, dude. Like, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Like, somebody could step on it and cut them foot.
Yeah.
Talk about a safety hazard.
Yes.
And it becomes frustrating when we can't share that same, sentiment to the realtor. Because we're like, dude, like, you should have saw this. But you bring up a very good point where, because I'm sure doing a lot of pre-inspections is, sure, some sellers probably don't want to do it. foolishly to try to save a couple bucks.
Yeah, come on,
as opposed to
when they're gonna make it actually a more at the end,
100%.
And I doing pre-inspections, I find stuff. I mean, I remember high voltage wire very close to the panel that somebody just left that, so you can see the tips of the wire coming out. I couldn't believe it. I put my tester on it. Of course, cherry pick. I'm like, seriously, you've been living like this for so many years? You haven't even noticed this? No, I didn't know that was there. Because people don't look for that stuff. I mean, do you really know that wire is live? Do
No,
you even care?
nobody knows.
Somebody already took care of that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
You're telling me this story, and I'm thinking about shit in my house.
I get that reaction many times.
100%.
Every time I do presentations, realtors look at me like, "Oh man, don't come to my house."
Do a pre-inspection. I ain't selling, but
I do those too.
Yeah,
yes.
100%. That's awesome. So, now, on average, obviously, there's always typical add-ons, right? That a buyer can say, because you mentioned like doing the inspection report and then radon.
Yes.
What other major inspection, quote unquote, add-ons do you think is important? Like a what do you call it? Oil tank suite.
Yes, definitely. Oh, it all depends on the age of the home. That's very important. That's key. What area is it located? Why do I say this? Because if you're in a wooded area, if you have been sitting in that particular spot for more than 20 years, and there have been many trees growing around it, especially if you have a septic, then you do want to know the condition of the pipes under the ground. So you can either do that with public water, like using a sewer scope with the camera going down, or if it is a septic, of course, you want to get a septic inspection. Underground tanks. You know why it's important to do one of those?
Well, yeah, you'll deal with contamination of soil. And
yes,
stuff like
sir.
That. Yeah.
And it gets very, very expensive. So it's not just digging the tank. Many people are like, "Oh, okay, don't worry, I'll just take care of the tank."
Check the soil for EPA.
But now the soil could have been, how did they test the oil level before? They dropped this rod, right? And the rod had a tip on it that was probably metal. So every time they dropped on the same spot, it kept denting it to the point where they finally chipped through, and all the oil started leaking.
Got it.
And now we're going 100 years ago. How much oil has really dripped through that and expanded. I mean, I seen it to, they had to totally demolish a detached garage from the neighbor.
Holy shit.
And get to it. And then, of course, who's paying for all that?
Yeah, the buyer.
Yeah.
Or the seller.
But if you become the seller in a few years,
you're stuck with it.
Exactly, because you didn't take the precaution to do it. I mean, we're talking about that. Termite don't miss a termite.
Yeah.
Radon, especially if you're in a high radon area, do it, get it done. Yes, and of course, a home inspection.
Yeah, well, yeah, without a doubt. All the times, right? I have buyers who, we do all of our pre-approvals pre-underwritten, and then like you just said, right? If they waive the inspection entirely, which we never recommend, but if they waive it or they just limit it to environmental structure found, regardless, get a home inspection.
Yeah,
it is worth every single penny because the peace and comfort of mind, right? Like we said,
learn your home, learn what is situated, learn the condition on it. It's not about changing paint colors, that's after the fact. It's learning what's behind that wall in a little bit.
Sure.
If there was a leak with humidity, you might have some mold, maybe not. But there are ways to tell when we do the inspection.
Sure.
You figure it out, you take it from there. Don't be afraid of it, Don't be afraid to just take it, just get an inspection, just to know the condition, even though you're not going to have power to negotiate. You still want to know what it is. I mean, I love when the wife comes in with the husband and she's writing as I'm going, she's taking notes, because I like to take everybody through that. She's writing. And then at the end of the inspection, she goes, "Here, honey, do this, baby." I love that. Because you already have this knowledge. You know what's going on. Once you finish with that list, guess what? You start again.
And it speaks to a good point, right? Because you said it in the beginning. You said, you don't want to be in a position where you're killing the deal.
Yes.
Right. But you also want to be in a position where you're truly educating the consumer.
Indeed.
Right. And I think sometimes it's such a hard balance.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's understanding, especially in the local market here in New Jersey, such a limited inventory.
Yeah.
That a lot of homes conditions they're not in the best shape. Right. They're going to be small little things here and there.
Yes.
That needs to be addressed. I mean, just that scenario that I mentioned with the CO issue.
Yeah.
Because of the inconvenience, this buyer's he's sharp. So because of the inconvenience, he called me 6:30 in the morning because he knows I'm up, and we're talking, and we've talked a few times, and I'm like, he's like, I'm gonna try to get a $50K price reduction.
Whoa.
And then I'm like, listen, it's not gonna happen.
No.
I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you could bring it to a point where you piss them off.
Yeah.
And then now you're in a position where you're gonna tell you to go kick rocks.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna serve you with a time of essence.
Yes.
And then, technically they don't have. I'm like, this is what you need to do. I'm like, realistically, go and ask for a $20,000 seller's concession and seller's concession.
Yeah.
Not a price reduction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because cutting your price by $20,000 is going to be like $30 off the mortgage.
Yeah.
Getting the $20,000 up front
Mm-hmm.
is going to pay all your closing costs, and I could try to use as much points because your closing cost is not 20 grand. I can use as much points, and we could do either a 2-1 buy down on the rate, or we could just buy your rate permanently as low as possible to maximize.
But that's when the expertise and the knowledge come to play. You see how you just described it? We like to take that approach to doing the home inspection, right? Listen, it's a fracture here on your foundation. It's very, let's get to the point where a lot of hydrostatic pressure is coming in through the wall, and then just explain, of course, what that is. And just say, this is considered a structural, but remember you have that concession in your inspection. So there's an area where you can negotiate with your realtor and your attorney.
Yeah.
And, you might get some credits out of it.
Sure.
Or this is an option for you. Probably.
I'm definitely seeing a lot more sellers open to giving concessions more than fixing stuff.
Yes, I see that as well.
Especially obviously those that are like estates or stuff like that, where they just don't want to fix anything.
Correct.
Unless they're an investor, then sometimes they're going to be more willing to fix it because they want to maximize on their return. Yeah. Any final words that you have, whether it's home buyers or professionals or anything like that you think would be valuable?
Okay. So definitely, if you are a realtor, an agent, you want to get the pre-inspection done, it's going to save a lot of money and time for everybody. If you are a buyer in the process of buying a home, do not skip your home inspection. Make every effort to be there that day. Ask questions. When you book the inspection, make sure you ask the home inspector, how long have you been doing this? It's a good question, because you want to know that they have experience.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the area? Have you done any inspections in this area before?
Because areas make a big difference.
Oh my God,
right?
yes, indeed. Yeah, it all depends on where the house is located. Yeah, so those are the kind of things you want to know. And of course, you want somebody who's available right away, because in this market, you want to get this done fast. The sooner you get the inspection, even though they give you 14 days, 10 days, you still want to get it done right away. Because this way you have that time to negotiate, to go back and ask for things.
I agree. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time.
And I want to thank you so much for taking me here, man, and for being so reactive.
Of course, man. Listen, the market is warming up. Right now, the housing market is obviously, as we get into the spring and summer, it's only going to get crazier, only going to get hotter. So definitely excited for your partnership, and most importantly, your friendship, while we continue making it happen.
Yes, sir. Number one, you are.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.